where your confidence coach for direct sales divas as well as home-based business owners. Super excited today to share another one of my coaching girlfriends with you, Becky Sampson. She is dynamic and engaging author, speaker, and coach, and she has a passion for seeing people succeed. She struggled with a low self-esteem and battled with her weight and lost over 130 pounds in her life and has never been the same. So now she understands firsthand the struggle that people face when it comes to the fear of being accepted, social expectations, and learning to love oneself. So without further ado, I'm ready and so excited to introduce you to my girlfriend, Becky. We'll see you inside. Well, hello there, Becky.
Well, aloha.
Yes, you're hailing from Hawaii. We are super excited to have you here today. I know before we actually get into our topic of discussion, which is how to transform from no worth to self-worth, I wanted you to tell my audience a little bit more about yourself, and then we'll get into your juicy questions.
Oh, I love it. Thank you so much. I appreciate the opportunity of being able to come on today and speak with you guys. I know sometimes it gets frustrating when I love this concept of the no self-worth to self-worth. But kind of a little bit of background about me is that I grew up in the Bay Area, San Francisco Bay Area. I was one of five children. Sorry, I was the fourth one, and I came with a lot of energy. And so from a very young age, I kind of struggled getting my place within my family. And at a young age, also started eating. That was kind of my way of coping with my mechanism in dealing with my stress that I had. And so all through my teenage years, I kind of went up and down that scale. And as Inga mentioned, I released 130 pounds, but it was quite a journey to get to that point. Right. And some of you may relate to that. But as a teenager, a little bit of weight ended up being a lot of weight in my head, right? Because I was different than everybody else. And yeah, so that's kind of a struggle that I've had my whole entire life, going up and down that scale. And as my weight went up, my self-esteem went down. And as I would have a little bit of success and my weight would go down, then my self-esteem would go up. It's kind of that way. But yeah, it's been a struggle since I was really young.
Awesome. So now I would love for you to tell us a little bit about what does no worth to self-worth mean to you?
Yeah, I think some of us and many of us do struggle with this no worth, right? Like, where do we learn that from a very young age? And for me, it was at a very young age. I was trying to figure out who I was, and so from no worth, I was looking, where do I look for that? Where do I look for that validation? And it wasn't that I wasn't getting that validation from other people. It was that it wasn't getting in. It wasn't getting into my soul. Like, people would tell me I was smart or I was intelligent or I was, that I was beautiful. But the outside world, like, I wasn't getting good grades because I was diagnosed with a reading disability when I was young. So the no worth, the world was giving me the evidence that I wasn't worth anything. And so that's kind of like when, and it could be also other traumas that we have that cause us to feel no worth. And how do we get out of that, right? How do I kind of climb out of the no worth into worth? It's a journey, and it's an inside job. I don't know, Inga, if you've experienced that as well. Like, it's not just like change everything in the outside world, it's changing from the inside out.
Yeah, I would totally agree. It makes me think about when somebody first starts a business. I think they're at that particular point too, because they're doing something completely out of their comfort zone. They're somewhat unsure of themselves, probably even secondly guessing their decision to start something new because it's something they've never done before. And that's one of the reasons why I wanted to bring you on today, so we could kind of get into that subject a little bit more. Because to me, I think it's the exact same thing. You had to deal with it from a weight point of view, but I mean, many of us deal with it just from doing something out of our comfort zone. Can you talk a little bit more about that?
Yeah, one of the I love that question because one of the things that I always love to say is that confidence is a byproduct of success. So let me explain it, and I'll kind of put it towards the weight loss thing, right? Because people come, and when I work with them on weight loss, it's literally, it's like if you've never lost weight or you've never had success before, your confidence is very, very low. So then you get on the food plan, then you start doing the activities, and then you start having some success. What happens to your confidence? Your confidence goes up. So if you want to build your confidence, and I love that you're a confidence coach, if you want to build it, then you need to have little successes. And whether it doesn't have to be weight loss, it could be anything in life. Like if you just haven't, like I love what you said, that if you haven't ever done anything before, and it's is new to you, then you're stepping into
Unknown territory.
unfamiliar
Right.
territory. And you need to just take little steps like that. And then as you're getting more and more familiar with it and you start having a little bit more success, then that's where the momentum happens with your confidence, and it goes up from there.
For sure. So let me ask you this. When it came to your weight loss journey, what was your turning point to actually make the change?
Yeah, I get that question a lot. Like I mentioned, I had struggled my entire life. I mean, from a young girl all the way up until my adolescence, and then through my adulthood. So many times we try when we have our goals, and if there's something that we're working towards, we constantly try and we may fail, and we try and we may fail, and we may try and we may fail. And I was no stranger to that. And I had gotten to the point when I was 29 years old, and I had gotten married, and I was 266 pounds at this point.
Right.
And a friend of mine and I were walking around the mall, and it was in February of 2009, and she turned to me. She's 4'11", I'm 5'7", and we both were 130 pounds overweight.
Wow.
And she turned to me and she goes, "Becky, I've had 4 cookies, like 4 cookies, and I need a detox." And I'm thinking, I looked down at her, I'm like, "Are you kidding me? Only 4 cookies? Like mine is 2 bags of cookies, or maybe 3 bags of chips or something. And then I might think I need a detox." And so she turned to me, she goes, "There's a conference and I want you to go with me." And I was like, "For what?" She goes, "Well, just come and support me." I had no idea what it was about, and I didn't even think she was serious. And the next day, we went walking again, and it was 7:00 in the morning, and she says, "Becky, we got to leave like in an hour, And I said, "Yeah, but I've got to work. It's a Friday." She goes, "Call off your work. You're the boss." And I was like, "What the heck?" So I was like, okay. So I came home, said to my husband, I walked in the door and I said, "Look, Pat needs me to go to this thing, and it's a 5-hour drive down to Vegas. I'm going." And he said, "What?" So I jumped in the car, we went down there, and we walked in late. And as I was registering for the event, I was writing my name, and I was overhearing the lady at the front of the room, and she was telling my story. So people ask me all the time, like, what was that pivotal moment? And sometimes those moments are not planned. Sometimes we're not looking for them. Maybe it's not on our radar at that point. I was going to support a friend of mine, and all of a sudden I found myself in this room and this lady telling my story. And I turned to her and I turned to my girlfriend and I said, "I don't know what this is. I don't know who these crazy people are, but I know that they have what I want, and I see that it's possible."
Right.
And so in that moment, that was the moment, if there was any moment, that made a difference in my life, because from that weekend, I got a sponsor and went on to it was a 12-step program. It's a totally free program. It's a worldwide organization. And I had never had any exposure before. But from that weekend, and because of a decision I made, my entire life changed. And I went on to release 130 pounds. And now it's been 13 years later, right?
Wow. Now that's powerful. I wanted to just kind of highlight some of the things that you talked about that I think is very imperative when it comes to building a business. One is the power of a +1. She decided to invite you to go with her. She didn't want to do it by herself.
Right.
She wanted you to support her. So I think it's very important that we encourage people to bring a +1 for that support, for sure.
Absolutely.
The other thing that you brought up that is very clear is that you made a decision. And I think that's one of the things that are very common when it comes to building a business as well, that we make that line in the sand and says, okay, I'm not going to do this anymore. I
Right.
remember if I was talking to you earlier and you were saying something about it, well, maybe I'm thinking about another conversation that when it's time for us to transform, there's one of two things that happen. It's one that we just can't do it anymore. We just have to say,
Right.
I just
Feel
can't do it.
so sick and tired.
Yeah, I'm
Yeah.
sick and tired of being sick and tired.
Mm-hmm.
And the other one is you're just at that point really just ready for a change. That
Well,
you,
and what I always say is that people always say, well, Becky, I'm not willing, or I'm not motivated, or I'm not like ready to do that. Well, guess what? I wasn't either. Like, I had so many failures before. So those are the two things, is that one, you're so sick and tired of being sick and tired. That wasn't me that day, because I was just going to support my girlfriend. But the other one was I saw somebody that I could relate to. And because I could relate to her and I saw that she had success, she had lost lots of weight and had kept it off for many years, I said, she is me. I can relate to her. And if she can do it, I can do it. That's what changed me from not being willing to then being willing. And so that's when I made that decision. And so I always tell people, look for those opportunities. You may not have the success that you want yet. You may not have lost the weight and kept it off yet. You may not be in the relationship that you want to be, or that you have always dreamed about being in yet. And because I kept that yet door open, I didn't even realize it at that point. But because I kept that open, myself open to possibilities, when that opportunity came, I was like, right, I'm doing it. And even at that, Inga, I didn't even know what was required of me.
right.
I really didn't. And a lot of people think, oh, I need to know everything. I need to know
Yep.
why I'm overweight. Who cares? Just move forward. You saw an opportunity, walk through the door and be open to the experience and the journey that it's going to give you.
And that's so powerful right there,
Yep.
because I think so many times, especially when it comes to business, we think we have to know every step.
No.
And I think
No.
it's I think the reason we're like that because of the way that we've been raised. I know for me, and this may be the same thing for you, I was taught that you go to school, you get your degree, you work for XYZ company for 30 plus years, and you get your gold watch. And for the most part, most of us were in families or households that did that plan. And we knew what the staircase looked like. And when it comes to venturing out on doing something that of the unknown, and in your case, it was losing weight.
Yeah.
A lot of the people that are watching today are thinking about starting a business and how, or they're in a business and not showing how they can get it to the next level. And they're very fearful because they don't have that whole staircase of how it's going to happen. So I think you're right on point that we got to take that first step. And then the next step is revealed to us. Would you agree with that?
Oh, absolutely. I'm actually in this right now, and I'll share an experience with you, because once I had lost all my weight, I had a really large following on Facebook, and all these people wanted to work with me, and I was like, I don't know what I'm going to do. I don't know what program I'm going to do. And one day I just came up with this program called Be You in 90. I was going to work with people for 90 days. Well, I'm actually about to launch another one here in in October 1st. But my point in saying this is that I enrolled 16, I think there were 16 or 18 people in that group coaching that I had. And I had no curriculum built. I had no idea what I was going to teach them. I did the branding. I enrolled them and said, look, it's going to be a group coaching. We're going to meet once a week. I'm going to give you assignments. I didn't even know what assignments I was going to give them. But the cool thing about this, what I learned is that I at least got into movement. I got into forward movement. I always say God can't drive a parked car.
That's right.
You gotta be like in movement. And I enrolled those 18 people. They showed up every week. And you know what? The content came to me.
Came to you. Exactly.
As I was working with them and I saw what they were struggling with. And then all of a sudden I was like, this is what I need to teach on. This is what I need to help them with. And so it's not about them fitting into my mold, right? It's how can I bring what I've learned and help them with what they're struggling? Because they'll give you feedback.
Right.
But that would have never happened if I didn't get started.
Right. And then you may have made up a course or created something that they wouldn't have even been able to use because you had an idea in your head about what it should be. But in actuality, when it comes down to it, we're here to serve.
Oh, absolutely. 100. I love what somebody said the other day. If you are not selling, this was a huge thing for me. If you are not selling and closing people, you are not serving.
Exactly. Selling
Because
is serving.
selling is serving.
Hmm.
And so if you really want to help somebody, get them engaged. And one thing that, and since we're talking about coaching and stuff, is many years ago, Tony Robbins, this must have been like 20 years ago, one of his early ones, he says, look, I don't need your money, I need your commitment. And your commitment is tied to your money. Because when the more people pay, the more committed they are to follow the advice that you have to say, right? And follow your coaching, I should say. And then when they follow that, they have transformation. Because the thing is that we all have valuable information to share with one another. But I've learned in this space that, when it's free, it's not valued. When it's charged, people take it seriously. And that's the same thing with yourself. So talk about going from no value, right? I'm not going to charge anything for what I do. I don't feel valuable, and therefore nobody's doing anything. Well, they're not doing anything with it because I don't value it.
Exactly. Exactly. And oftentimes what I find is that when people get things free, or even when people offer free training, free is not complete. And I say that repeatedly all the time. They're only going to give you just enough to entice you, to kind of whet your palate, is what I would say, to get you enticed to want to do more, or really make that commitment to invest in yourself. Because when you pay attention. For
I
sure.
love it. I know. I've got that right here. What is it? Yeah, those who pay attention. It's right here on my computer.
Yes.
And here's an example of that, right? I have a very, she's a lot of money coach that I have right now. And that is getting me to go to work, right? In order for me to pay that coach, I need to get to work. And so it works for me. And I believe that if I'm going to have other people invest in me, I need to invest in coaches. And I don't know I'm sure it's with you as well, Inga, that like if you are, if you're being coached, if you're coaching other people, we need to have people to support us as well.
Yes.
I couldn't have lost all that weight without people supporting me.
Right.
I can't build my business the same way either. Stop thinking that you can do it yourself. I had to stop thinking that I was alone, like I'm going to do it all myself. No, it's a village.
Now, I am a mechanical engineer by training. I did that for over 20 years. And I know in school, we used to always say that engineering was a team sport. But what I have definitely realized that entrepreneurship is a team sport as well, that you can't do it by yourself. It's something you want to have the investment in coaches, people sowing into you so you can sow into others, as a result of finding that need that they have and being able to fill it. I'm sure you would agree.
Well, and it is so vitally important. I was just talking to someone this morning about that very thing, is that, there's a lot of people that can lose weight, right? And I'm just going to use the weight only as for an example. There's a lot of people that lose weight, but then what happens when you check in with them a year or two later? Everyone's kind of like, did they gain their weight back? It's like, you wonder, did they fall off the train? Well, guess what? I fell off the train for 5 years. I walked away and I said, look, I fired God and got fat. I thought that I was good. I'm like, I can do this on my own. And then I smartened up and said, look, Becky, in order for me to keep the results that I have, I've got to keep doing the things that brought me the success that I have. And so I do. 13 years later, I'm still connected to that community, to helping, I help other people and they help me. And I had a great conversation with a lady this morning that I did a retreat with. She came out to Hawaii and did a retreat with. So we need each other. We really need each other. Find your tribe, stick to your tribe.
Yes. For sure. And then also you just reiterated another golden nugget, is that we have to have those same daily disciplines that we did to get where we want to go. We have to maintain to stay where we are, even go up to the next level. We can't get there and then think, okay, well, I'm here and I don't have to do anything else because I'm already here. What is that?
There's no arrival.
Yeah. There's no arrival. I forget what the saying, something about success. You have to buy it every day or something like that.
I haven't heard. I haven't heard that one, but I definitely. This is something that my mom gets a little offended, and I think I've shared it with you before. But she gets offended and she's like, "Oh, Becky, that's so crass." But it makes a really good point. People say, "Becky, do you have to do this the rest of your life? Do you have to eat like this the rest of your life? Do you have to do the work that you do to keep the weight off?" And I say, well, here's a question for you. Do you keep wiping your rear end every day, or are you done wiping? You've wiped enough times that you can go back to no wiping when you were a kid. No,
Exactly.
it doesn't work like that. You have to, if you want the results, you've got to keep doing the things that actually bring you the results. And it's okay, just one day at a time. If I had to think about doing this the rest of my life, it's too much for me. But just for today, I can do it. What can I do? I have a sign right above my computer here that says, what can I do? What can I do today? Just one thing. One thing. So,
Right.
yeah.
Yeah, I think that's what you had said when we had talked before. You were saying one day at a time, because that was one of the questions I was actually going to ask you is what did you put in place to have long-term success? And it's probably just what you said, one day at a time.
I know it sounds really cliche. I think people think that is, if there's three main things, okay? I'm a God person, so I can't do it without God. Like, I tried firing him. That's what happened. I gained some weight back. So number one, God. Number two is I had to have a team of people around me to support me. And number three, I've got to keep the mindset it's just for today, or even this meal, or even this hour. And totally transparent, even right before we did this, I had to really do some heavy mental work to show up for this.
Right.
And so emotions hit us all the time, and we want to give up every time. That's our natural man. That's our natural self when we wake up in the morning. We've got to reprogram ourselves. We've got to listen to good stuff. We've got to surround ourselves with good people.
Yes.
And we've got to believe in ourselves. And we believe in ourselves by having little successes every single day. Count them every single day. Just one thing that you did well, And that builds upon it, builds and builds, and then, your confidence goes up.
For sure. It's a moment by moment decision all the time.
It is. I'm telling you, right before we started this, I was like, oh no. And I remember one of my friends that's a big speaker. I'm like, what do you do when you don't want to go on stage? And he goes, Becky, you do it anyway.
Anyway, that's right.
I know. That's how I felt before we started this. And I didn't tell you that, but I was like, no, but
No,
you know what?
girl, I get it.
That's tenacity. It's tenacity.
And I appreciate you being so honest about it, because I think when people see people on stage or doing something great, they don't think they have those fears before they went on stage, or they don't think that they're having those thoughts that you were just having. We all go through it. The difference between the haves and the have-nots is just what you said. We do it.
You do it. And you cried. The first time I did my first radio show, I cried. I literally cried on the show, the first 10 minutes. And every single time I do a show, every time I'm interviewed or I interview, I get nervous. And then 5 minutes into it, I'm like, I'm fine. What am I worried? And we really do that to ourselves. Stop doing that. Including, I'm telling myself, stop doing that, because it's just fine. We've got what it takes to be successful. We've got what it takes to help and serve and lift others. But we've got to have that confidence, and we've got to get into motion ourselves, or else that miracle never happens.
Yes, spot on. So this has been great, girl. I know you had mentioned something about your, I think it's a workshop or something you got going in October. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah. So what I'm doing is I'm starting a program called Finish Strong. A lot of people start the year off strong, and then of course 2 weeks into it, we've got these goals and everything that we're going for. But I was sitting back the other day thinking, I want to help people finish this world. This 2022, I want them to finish it strong. So I'm starting a group coaching, starts October 1st, goes to December 31st, and then I'll be starting another one in January. Start strong. So.
Awesome.
So,
So is that all around weight loss? Is that what it's centered around? Or is
Nope,
it just
it's actually
achieving goals in general?
Yeah, I usually will have them do 3 goals. One is financial, so they want to increase their financial. They want to do personal, which could be weight loss if you want to do that. And then also a physical one, get physical or lose weight or whatever it is. So I want them to work on some very specific goals, and we are going to hit it hard and have a lot of fun. I realize nothing happens in my world and in my coaching without having a lot of fun. So yeah,
Awesome.
come
Now,
join
can
me.
they find out more information on your website? I'm putting this up here so they'll know.
Yes, absolutely. Go to beckysampson.com and click on programs, and you'll see them there. Yeah.
Awesome. So, do you have any final thoughts you want to say before we end today?
You know, my final thought that I always love to leave with people is that you matter. I went a majority of my life not feeling like I mattered at all. That my existence, my voice, what I had to teach people. It's interesting how life, just traumas and all kinds of things, try to squash who we are. But that, if there's anything that I would leave with it, and it's even on my voicemail, is that you matter. Take who you are, the unique self that you are, and go do something in the world. You know, go build something. My dad, I grew up at a summer camp, and he said, leave places better than you found them. I say leave people better than you found them, whether it's leaving them with a resource or giving them encouragement or hope. But you matter, and go about your day knowing that you matter no matter what. Like, no matter what anybody else says, you are important and you matter. So go and create an amazing day.
Awesome. Well, girl, it has been great to have you today, and I so appreciate your time and the value that you provided to
Thank
my
you.
audience. For those that are watching, I want you to know that I am looking for other expert folks to come out and speak on my YouTube channel. Anyone that you know that would be willing to serve and just share value while giving people the confidence they need to make that leap of faith when it comes in to their business. So if you know anyone like that, by all means, comment below and let me know. Drop me a DM. My information will be in the chat, as well as Becky's information. And as always, thanks for watching, and bye for now.
Bye-bye. Aloha.